Hello! Think I'm finally ready to get started here. I didn't have a whole lot of idea of what I was going to do today, but I got some ideas at the last minute. Because none of the stuff I have sketched up before is ready to go yet. Unfortunately. Patrick's still working on that crap. But we can always just wing it and come up with new things to put on Patrick's backlog so he doesn't run out of work when we go and actually spend the whole time coloring one of his things instead of making more stuff for him. So I'm thinking we're gonna have these two in this picture here, because obviously I want to do more pictures with different creatures and whatnot, and that's kind of my main thing right now, is to try and get a library of pics for each creature. Of course, that's one of the main difficulties of doing a thing like this, is that when you want to make like a video or something and have some visuals, I gotta make all the visuals myself. I can't just go, there isn't like a backlog of official art that I can pull from some established IP that I can just rip off, unfortunately. And you can't just use like generic stock images, because the characters and the creatures all have like very specific designs and whatnot. There's a particular art style. You can't just use images of random monsters and whatnot. Let's see. Let's try that as the placement here. So the basic idea here is she's going to be like holding her rod, right? And it's going to be extended. And it will be flaming. And she'll be kind of in like a ready for battle stance here. And around this arm, the viper is going to be coiled around. Okay, let's kind of pull it further away from her face, right? I don't think I've ever actually drawn Viper outside of his like Well, this part right here. This right here. This is the only time I've ever drawn a Viper. I'm gonna have to remind myself of what all his features are like. You probably want to have it looking more towards the camera.
Sacrosanctinetti says, AI viewers stream book.
Oh boy, we already got the bots. Banned. Let's see. Something like that should be about right for the head shape. The thumb should definitely be like outside of the fingies. Probably want to tone it down just a tad too. Actually, let's try to put this more in perspective. We're gonna have her more in the foreground. Kind of like so.
Zero Festiva Zero says. Plap plap plap.
Festiva, welcome. How's it going with you?
Blinded by their bold desire, mortals sought to harness fire, but fire burns and shadows spread. Among their marvels, none were spared. The work of
Let's see.
their pride, their
I always kind of hate drawing out the pelvis reason.
gods through skill and pain. Machines awaken, their hearts beat black. From dust they rise, they must attack.
Move that head a little bit.
Zero Festiva Zero says. Who we cracking open?
This is a generic member of the League of Magi. A
Zero
League
Festiva
Delver, as
Zero
we call
says.
her.
But that is where all the action usually is.
What, the pelvis? Oh, we definitely need to fix the perspective on this arm here. Let's see, what do we do with the snake's tail? Just kind of have it hang down like so, maybe? Doesn't really look right. Let's kind of shorten this up even more. Oh, I need to get the flaming fin on this guy. Probably stand to use a smaller eraser here. Something like that should work, I think. Not too sure about this snout. That might be a little better. I feel like his lower part is just not lining up right with his eyes here. Now we have to ask exactly how this hilt is going to be shown here. Something like so. And the fingies will be this angle. Hand's looking awfully big. Let's draw the hilt first. That is not in line with the blade. It's also got some depth to it here. The first thing, the thumb should probably be out. Now the hand actually looks too small. I think I just need to use some smaller brushes again. get a little more fine with my details here. I think this is looking a little better. Oh, honestly, I feel like the fingers should not extend so far. Something like so. Oh, and of course there's supposed to be a little orb on the other end here. Which the blade will extend from. There we go. And zoom in a little closer on this pic. I think we're gonna kind of shrink this guy down a tad, so looks like he's a little further in the background. Trying to think of ways to make the perspective a little more extreme. think that's a little better. Maybe we can tweak the angle of the shoulders a little bit more. Actually, quite a bit more. In fact, let's just take this whole side of the body and kind of size it up a tad. That's a bit better. We'll tweak the head slightly to match. Alright, I think I like that layout. Let's start sketching in some details here. Let's see, what's this character look like? Actually, let's just lower the opacity on there and we'll kind of draw on top of it. There we go.
The path is set, a conjurer's oath, no chance to regret. Vivid
Actually, let's do something a little different.
shadows gleam under the rule of a fairy's dream. Verdant king,
We'll have the braid.
I feel a throne
hanging over this shoulder.
A realm unreal, bound by thorns, the forest stirs. Green flames burn, your magic purrs. Branches twitch with whispered dread, echoes of the living, the long since dead. Arcane runes in trails on
Let's see, then she's got these dangly things.
emerald, secrets untold. Oath of the conjurer, forged in fire, through the glades where mortals tire. Dare I brave the verdant king's might, a lord of wonders, veiled in
Kinda like so.
verdant king, your gaze I fear. Yet I march, I draw near an empire lush, roots so deep, an ageless bond the world shall keep. Winding streams with laughter laced, the valley braced with ancient grace, yet cunning eyes behind the throng. A fairy king's call, the rhythm, the song.
Alright, that should be pretty good for the hair there. For a sketch, at least. So I'm opening this thing up, but it doesn't need to be that open. 'Cause she's got one of her clasps right here above the corset thing. I guess most of this part of the sleeve isn't going to be seen anyways. We'll just kind of do whatever. And she's got a belt around here. One thing the belts are good for is showing the flatness of the belly. If you can do it right. Let's see. Get the loops right there. And buckle. Like so. Actually, around here she'd probably have a pouch like she has on the reference. Let's see, how's that look without all the sketch? Okay, I need to tone down my brush sizes again. Getting hard to do the details I'm trying to do. Constantly fighting to get a brush size that does what I need it to do. Actually, I'm thinking I need to move this stuff further down here. Alright, let's get the other side. And now we can probably just take the Viper all by its lonesome. And use him just as is. Good enough for a sketch. I'll do a little bit of cleanup. All right. I also spent a lot of time working on that hand and the thing here, so we're just gonna take all of this and make that part of the main sketch. But we do need to fix the alignment of the blade part here. Not too far off. Though we could probably stand to make it a little wider towards the end for perspective's sake.
Python official says, "What do you doing?"
Hello there, Python official. How's it going? We are working on a little illustration for my tabletop RPG I'm working on. It is a fantasy monster collecting game. Mostly inspired by Pokemon. But it's more of a D&D type fantasy world than what they've got going on. Right now I'm trying to get this blade aligned in a way that actually looks correct. Alright, that should work for the time being. Let's get the face on here next. Let's use a smaller brush here. Keep going back and forth, back and forth. On my brush sizes.
Python official says, "What's her name?"
This is just a random character design. She doesn't have a name. But she represents the Delver class of the League of Magi. So their whole thing is dungeon delving and stuff like that. Kind of an Indiana Jones type thing. I'm mostly trying to get art done of the different creatures. So I can have some fodder for visuals of the different ones for YouTube videos and stuff like that. think those face proportions are a little bit off. We're gonna squish it upwards a little bit. You know what? I'm still not too happy with the overall focus here. I think we need to zoom in a bit more. That looks better. And then of course the blade here is going to be on fire.
Python official says. Is that a snake on her hand?
Yes, that is one of her creatures. Delvers like their fire creatures, so it helps them see in the dark and all that. Let's see. Could probably use like a little bit of a aura on that end too. Actually, I don't like a lot of this fire. Fire's hard, man. Probably spend all night just screwing around with the fire. Let's see. Hopefully we won't have to do that. Give it a little lick here. And yeah, I just need to take this one a little further, I think. You know what, let's tweak it a bit more. Maybe like so.
Python official says. Good drawing, keep it up.
Well, thank you.
Python official says. I am gonna sleep now. Python official says. Bye.
Alright. See you around, Python. Let's see. What have I even been up to this week? Doing a lot of busy work on the game. I've got like 3 of the adventure templates all figured out and formatted into a PDF file for distribution later. Whoop. I still want to get a couple more before I have enough that I really feel comfortable releasing something. So we're getting close. And one of those things is basically done already. I just need to actually get around to putting it in the file and getting all the formatting done with it. Unfortunately, a very time-consuming process. Really grinding my gears because I don't really have a whole lot of creative outlets at the moment besides doing the art and whatnot. I'm getting new creature ideas, and I swore I wouldn't go around creating new creatures until I was actually done with the stuff that I currently have to do. Of course, I just made a new mythic creature last night, so that did not exactly go as I planned it. Well, not last night, last week, and the week before that. Actually, this whole month I've been creating a new mythic creature. So I have spent a lot of time doing things I shouldn't have been doing. Well, that's okay. I probably would have gone crazy if I didn't do it. Sometimes you just gotta scratch the creative bug. Or itch, whichever you prefer. I've been thinking I need to do more YouTube videos about like the whole process of making the game. That at least is something that I wouldn't need to make a whole bunch of new art for every one of them. I could probably just put on a time lapse of the art as the visual background and just talk over that. I'm thinking I probably made her head a little too big here. Let's see if we can rectify that without screwing up a bunch of other stuff. Alright, let's take that and the face. And that looks a bit better. Let's see, do we even need this little thing? I feel like that did more harm than good in the way it looks.
Through woods of shadow, damp and deep, a conjurer's vow they swore to keep. The spider's brood, they weave their lies beneath the moon.
Alright, we're gonna have to actually put some details on Viper over here.
O pack of eight-legged blights, so grim by staff
Let's
and
get
shaft
like a
they'll silence them, for redemption calls
guideline here for his pattern.
questing hearts.
And we'll actually put the pattern on.
Their cloaks were threadbare, their souls were torn, through failure's ash, their mission born. Spells on lips and lanterns low, they track the webs where shadows grow. Mandibles clicking, the nests they grow. A clattering choir where dread winds blow. Redeemers
Alright, something like this. We'll kind of clean it up as we go.
woods of venomous twist. O pack of eight-legged blights, so grim by staff and chant they'll silence them, for redemption calls their fates entwined in questing hearts. Courage they'll find. Each strike of fire, each rune a courage proud, each cry for hope, each vow aloud. They drove the darkness from its well, where spiders brood and nightmares dwell. Oh, pack of
Drawing curves is really obnoxious for me. I cannot think very well while doing it.
their fates entwined in questing hearts, courage they'll find.
Takes too much brain power. To get it to look right. Probably need to clean up this hand a tad. If that even is how the hand is supposed to look. That is always the question when you're drawing hands at an angle you're not familiar with. I'm actually thinking I should probably make more like so. I might have to make a reference for myself. Let's see what we can do with the old trusty phone camera. Alright, I'm definitely getting some things wrong. Let's see. This part really should be more like so. And then the actual fingies are kind of like that. And this is not so pronounced from the rest of the hand. Alright, what's going on? What is this? That's on a different layer. I think we could stand to deflatten this thing a little bit. But otherwise, I think we might be time to move on to a new thing. If I can come up with something else. That is a question of all time. Can Dicebag think of something in the middle of a stream? Something new to do? Oh, you know what? She needs her binding crystals.
Ponyboy Horse says. Dicebag fact, Dicebag is left-handed, but is too embarrassed about this fact and hides it. He will also
Ponyboy!
deny it when accused.
How's it going, boy of the ponies? Also, you can see that I'm right-handed. Right on screen. Why else would I be drawing everything from this side of the screen? You think I'm taking my other hand and like crooking it the opposite way? And being like, eh.
Ponyboy Horse says. I am living large, with my sheer willpower in charge.
I guess that's good.
Ponyboy Horse says. I told you all he would deny it and hide it.
Well, Ponyboy, I think we might be the only ones here right now, so it's not really a told you all kind of situation. You're mostly talking to yourself.
Ponyboy Horse says. The VOD watchers will understand.
Alright, we need to get
Ponyboy Horse says. Why
eye
can't Geronimo
details
not
on
say
this
VOD?
one. He just said it. VOD. I don't think Geronimo pronounces acronyms for the most part.
Ponyboy Horse says. Geronimo say VOD. Ponyboy
There you
Horse
go.
says. Good bot. Evergrade Artistry says. Yellow dice lurking tonight. Have fun.
Hello, Evergrade. Enjoy your lurking, I guess. Oh boys, you're just in time for me to get done with this picture and have no involvement in the process whatsoever.
Evergrade fact, Evergrade lurks in the shadows, because he is afraid in the light you will tell he hasn't showered in a week.
I don't think being in the light will have much to do with that, Pony Boy. Well, boys, I got my car back from the mechanic this week. Thank God.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
I mean, I guess. It couldn't get much worse than having my wheel just freaking fall off the thing.
Why would a mechanic steal a car?
I think you got the wrong idea, Pony Boy. He didn't steal the car. We took the car out to him.
Ponyboy Horse says. Why would you give a stranger a car?
Well, I wasn't driving it, and he can fix them. So that's why. Quite simple, in fact. A very simple answer. I'm surprised you didn't think of it yourself, Pony Boy. Must I hold your hand?
Ponyboy Horse says. If I told you I could fix cars, would you give me your car?
No.
Darth Boricorn says. I don't know, losing second gear on the highway is pretty bad if you drive a manual.
Hello, Darth Gorecord. How's it going? Fortunately, I didn't lose anything on the highway. I was sitting in the McDonald's drive-thru when
Horse says.
I had my
give your
problem.
Car to a stranger who says he can fix your car? You make no sense.
Well, Pony Boy, my uncle knew this guy. And he actually has a business doing the thing I gave him the car to do. Since we must spell out for you what a mechanic does.
Horse says, my uncle knows me, so give me your car.
I don't know your uncle though. Come on, Pony Boy. Get with the program.
Ponyboy Horse says. He is a swell fella.
I'm sure he is. But I wouldn't know that. I'm just doing the sketch here and I've already got too many layers. Also, what is this?
Ponyboy Horse says. Also, McDonald's drive-thrus are for driving through, not stopping in.
Well, that was the intent. I did get my food after all. I ordered on the app, so I already paid ahead of time. When they found out I was stuck, they brought my food out for me.
Ponyboy Horse says, did you get the chicken strips with the creamy chili sauce?
I got chicken strips, but I get barbecue sauce, not your nasty chili sauce. Speaking of chicken, the freaking Taco Bell chicken like doesn't exist anymore. They took it off the menu. Pissing me off. Taco Bell's always changing their menu.
Says, imagine fumbling at the finish line like that. Darth Goricorn says, was it a Prius? If so, maybe it was assigned to get an actual car, lol. Ponyboy Horse says,
no.
Death to Taco BLL.
I drive a Nissan Juke. Not a Prius. Although I would prefer a hybrid over like a fully electric car myself. I think hybrids get a little too much hate. Oh, that's mostly like a 2000s, 2010s thing to hate on hybrids, I feel like. I got a cousin who has an electric guitar. Oh, not an electric guitar, an electric car. And he found out the hard way how unreliable they are. I assumed it was a hybrid at first, but no.
Be a boomer and live in a bygone decade.
Boy, if only I could live in a bygone decade. The whole internet is trash right now. Hell, just last decade the internet was better. You know what? I probably don't need to futz around so much with this, the details of this drawing. I could probably move on to another thing. Oh yeah, speaking of fast food, I went and got some Burger King before the stream. And, like, I rarely have any problems with my orders. Almost never. I'm usually, when people are complaining about fast food places getting stuff wrong, I'm thinking like, oh, you probably ordered something stupid.
If I am ever caught willingly driving a hybrid or an electric car, please make sure to put me out of my misery. Ponyboy Horse says, I tried Burger King Star Wars meals and they were dog water.
Well, I've been getting, like, I pretty much have like a, if I want something different, I just go to a different place. But at Burger King, I've been getting the Bacon King meal, which is, you know, just a bacon double cheeseburger, but I get it with no mayonnaise. And guess what? This one had on it when I got home. Can you guess?
Ponyboy Horse says, Burger King makes the best spicy chicken sandwich in the entire industry, hands down, and I will fight this battle with anyone.
Chicken doesn't belong on a sandwich, so it may very well be the best, but that doesn't mean much.
Darth Goricorn says, mustard.
No, it didn't have mustard on it. They don't come with mustard, actually. It had mayonnaise. Come on, you guys gotta pick up on the foreshadowing. Am I not telling the story good enough?
Ponyboy Horse says, Dice bag with his soy-based food takes again.
Soy-based when I'm literally talking
Boy
about
Horse
eating
says,
hamburgers.
Mayonnaise belongs on burgers.
Shut up, you freaking mayo
Dark
monkey.
Oracorn says, Five Guys is the king of fast food.
I do not have a Five
Dark
Guys
Oracorn
around
says,
here.
Everyone else is dog water.
My choices are basically McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Arby's. We used to have a Hardee's and a, what do you call that? A Wendy's. But they went out of business.
Ponyboy Horse says, Five Guys costs your firstborn child plus your arm and leg.
Good thing you guys can't see my menus. What do we call this one? You know, let's just name it after the creature. We'll call this Viper 1. That way I can find it easily.
Ponyboy Horse says, I can see the menu to toggle left/right-handed. Darth Goricorn says,
Sure you can.
Five Guys is just trying to ensure you have a good night's sleep then. They are doing you a favor.
Oh, I just noticed something. I left off a detail. There we go. I think we're good now. Now we need to find something else to draw. Because Patron has not gotten back to me with any of the line art that I've sent him. Let's see, what other creatures do we have that we could do something with? Have I done one with Horpit before?
Ponyboy Horse says, why do you treat Patron like your personal slave?
I don't treat him like a slave, I pay him. Let's see, maybe we can...
Ponyboy Horse says, Patron hasn't been able to spend quality time with T in ages or buy her cheese because you have him constantly working in the art mines.
He might do more art than I do. He always be posting Taya and stuff. Let's see, we can develop one of these. Oh, you know what? I was just thinking I needed to do some more metamorphoses. So let's take snow puff over here. It's already drawn up, so we'll kind of like just do kind of a rough coloring of it. Probably want to clean them up a little bit though. Actually, let's get a reference up.
Ponyboy Horse says, is this the long-awaited Wooloo?
No, it's not Wooloo, it's Snow Puff. The metamorphosis of Nimba. Specifically the ice metamorphosis. Thank you very much.
Ponyboy Horse says, you're right, Wooloo is cooler because they're Scottish.
Blah blah blah. It's not cooler than Cloud Sheep. You got bad taste, Ponyboy. You just got bad taste.
Ponyboy Horse says, is your Cloud Sheep Scottish?
There is no Scottish in the creature's world.
Ponyboy Horse says, make Scotland.
No, we're not gonna make Scotland. Also, I have way too much stuff to finish with the current scope of the setting to go around making even more regions when I haven't even finished the first
Ponyboy
one.
Horse says, I will make Scotland a homebrew country with Scottish people.
Okay, go ahead and do that. Please do. Who am I to decline fan-generated content?
Ponyboy Horse says, their custom creature will be an Iron Brew can.
For a second I wasn't sure if Geronimo mispronounced that or what. Why don't you enlighten us on what an Iron Brew can is? Come on, tell the class.
Ponyboy Horse says, Iron Brew is a soft drink that is extremely popular in Scotland.
Oh. I thought it was like some kind of Celtic mythical creature or something. Like a fae folk. That's disappointing. You shouldn't have told me, just let me believe.
Ponyboy Horse says, it is orange and supposedly has a bunch of citrus flavors. Ponyboy Horse says, I guess you can call it a modern Scottish god.
You know, I've been playing an awful lot of No Man's Sky recently. And I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. And I finally I feel like I'm able to put it in words. What is wrong with it? And it's that, like, everything is a freaking fetch quest in that game. Let me tell you a story that happened over the course of the last week about me doing one quest in No Man's Sky. This is the, it's called the Starbirth quest, okay? And this is how you get your living ships. So your spaceships that are like actual living organisms. This is how you get involved in that whole thing. And like the quest basically has you collecting various parts
Ponyboy Horse says,
of the living ship.
Yawn.
Shut up! It has you going around collecting various parts of the living ship, but the way it goes around about doing this is you get like your egg, your ship egg. I call it the void egg, right? And when you've got the void egg, when you go into like the pulse drive, like the fast but not between stars fast, like the warp fast, just the like the moving fast, right?
Ships don't come from eggs.
These do. So when when you use your pulse drive and like travel between planets, not stars but planets, you'll get intercepted by like a living ship itself, and it will like give you instructions, right? And the instructions are always like, go to this planet and activate this thing. And so you go to the planet, you activate this monument or from like an ancient aliens and stuff, and once you get there and activate the thing, it'll be like, oh, you need to craft this thingamajig. And it's like, oh, how do I craft that thingamajig? And it just gives you instructions on how to craft that thingamajig, and then it tells you where to find the components of that thingamajig. So you go off and you go find the things for the thingamajig, and then you come back to the place you were just at, and you craft the thingamajig and give it to the thingamajig, and it gives you a fully formed thingamajig, and then you have to wait for the thingamajig isn't fully formed.
Ponyboy Horse
you have
says,
to wait for it to become fully formed.
Have you considered playing better games?
Look, there aren't many good games. So you have the thingamajig, but it's not a complete thingamajig. You have to wait for the thingamajig to mature, right? So after 24 hours of having the thingamajig in your inventory, you get a mature thingamajig. And then you get intercepted by a living ship again when you're in your pulse drive.
Play 40k games.
No, I don't like 40k. And when you get intercepted with by the next one, guess what happens? You get sent to another place. And the process repeats itself. You do this like 5 times. So it takes you like 5 real world days to get to the end of this quest.
Takes again.
And then, like, one of the last things that you're supposed to do, it actually decides to throw a loop at you. And it doesn't give you, like, specific things. It gives you... Actually, I don't think it even gave me this. I had to go on the wiki. But it has, like, specific coordinates that you put into a portal. But it turns out the portal coordinates are all in, like, glyphs, right? And there's a specific way there's a specific thing you have to do to collect glyphs. And I have not been doing it. I didn't even know you could do it. I was always baffled about it. So I had to collect the glyphs, you have to go around and find what's called travelers, which are basically like the race of the player character. And they're all like rare and unique and stuff, and they're not everywhere. So I had to go back through like all the space stations that I've been to, seeing one by one if there's a traveler there, getting the coordinates for their grave, because they're like ghosts, holographic ghosts. And then once you find their grave, you get a glyph from them. And there's like 16 glyphs, so I had to do this 16 times. And then you have to go and find a portal. Now, I was confused about this, but there was actually an easier way to find a portal, and I had been doing it. But it took a while because it doesn't really spell things out for you yet. If there wasn't a wiki, I would not be playing this game. So I had to go through some rigmarole to find a portal on a random planet. And I input the coordinates from the wiki because I did not have them in the game itself as far as I could tell. And so I get to the special planet.
That sounds like God Emperor worshipping propaganda.
So I'm at the planet where you're supposed to get like the final piece of the puzzle, right? And I summon my ship, because you can do that. I summon my ship and I get inside of it and I like try to chase down the signal for the quest. And I'm closing in close and I try to land and nothing happens. I can't freaking land. I zoom around all over the place and it just won't let me land. It's freaking bugging out on me. The place is just bugged. So I had to find some other, like a specific like outpost or another person's base that they made that had a landing pad before I could actually land. And then once I landed, it actually worked. Then I was able to land wherever I wanted. And so I get the final component, and instead of saying, oh, you have to wait for this to mature for 24 hours, it tells me you have to go and collect souls. I have to go and collect the souls of the dead travelers. And you only need 3 of them, thankfully. But then it's just like, oh, here's the soul, here's the coordinates. And it does that 3 times. It's just like, you need to go find a thing. Here's where it is, go to it. And that's like the entire quest. You need a thing, here's where it is, go to it. You need another thing, here's where it is, go to it. And it's just going place to place to place and basically doing the same thing.
Ponyboy Horse says, nothing about your story brings me closer to understanding the game.
Do you need to understand the game? Here's the thing. Once you get to a certain point in the game, going from place to place is basically trivial. It's just kind of tedious. You're not really dealing with like limited resources or something like that. It's not a resource management thing. If you do happen to run out of resources, you can probably just land on a planet and pick some up. So yeah, it kind of pissed me off. And that quest was just particularly egregious. But I really wanted a living ship. So I put up with it for the past week. Hey, look at that. This guy's almost done.
Ponyboy Horse says,
While I was ranting.
were the fruits of your labor sweet to the taste?
I don't know. I think the living ship might actually be worse than the ship I was using. At least in certain ways. Granted, it doesn't have any upgrade modules in it yet, so maybe once I get some upgrades, it'll be much better. But right now it just kind of looks cool. Oh, and the living ships don't use the same kind of upgrades that the regular ships do. So all the technology that I've been hoarding or keeping in with my other ships, I can't like apply to this one. I have to get entirely new upgrades. So it's probably going to be a little underpowered for a while. So in the meantime, I'm looking for a space whale. I've been messing with the line so much I forgot to fix this guy's face. Anyways, what else has happened this week besides screwing around in No Man's Sky? Mostly just been doing busy work and working overtime. Had a power outage at work, that was great. Had to reboot all the machines and redo all the setups because all the coordinates were all messed up. And we're already kind of behind in actual production.
Ponyboy Horse
We're gonna be
says,
working overtime for a
have
while.
you ever heard the saying that the candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long?
Yes, I have. I should probably take a day off at some point.
Ponyboy Horse says, this candle has burned bright and is going to bed, catch ya later nerdbag.
Oh, you're talking about yourself. Oh, okay. Okay, Pony Boy. We'll see you later. Thanks for hanging out.
Autism, how about that? Autism tomorrow.
I'm putting my hair up, by the way, because it is getting warm in here and I don't want to get up and change my thermostat. Alright. So yeah, eventful week. Even trying to relax and play video games has been a little bit stressful. I have been making it a point to sit down and actually just play some games every day. To try and not burn out from like working on creatures all the time. But sometimes I feel like I should just keep working on creatures because I don't always just feel like playing games. Making games is kind of more fulfilling than playing games for the most part. But then again, I'm not really making games right now. I'm just kind of formatting things. Still working on them PDF
Ponyboy
files.
Horse says, before I go I have a question.
Yes. What is the question?
Ponyboy Horse says, if you had a time machine that worked one way and back, what would you use it for?
Getting back to my home time. Next question. Easy lore answer. Have we forgotten that I am from the future? Let's see. Ah! I'm hitting all kinds of things I don't need to. Oh dang, I moved my taskbar. Hold on. This is not good. Okay, how did I do that?
Ponyboy Horse says, I would go back in time and stop the Soviets from assassinating Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon, thus triggering the nuclear war that ended half of all life on Earth.
Pony Boy, I think you've been Mandela affected.
night we're well away.
Okay, there we go. Taskbar is at the correct place now.
In the heart of the mall lies grim despair.
Anyways, back to what I was doing.
Says, what do you mean?
Fear makes us all beware.
Ponyboy, I don't know how to tell you this.
Runes glow in the midnight air.
The world has never had a nuclear holocaust.
We chant our spells with fiery flare. Echoes of darkness all around.
Ponyboy Horse says, you're welcome.
Uh-huh.
Ponyboy Horse says, with that I'm going to bed.
Alright. We'll see you later again. Mister says he's going to bed and doesn't go to bed.
Together we rise against the fray.
Darth Goricorn says, I would go back in time and hand all the pagan nomads Humvees with mounted artillery cannons and teach them how to use them. Darth Goricorn says, maybe then we would have ships all over space by now. Link says, I've received 100 messages today with Rest Ream chat.
Haunted souls in the shadows cast.
Alright, let's get
We hold fast to magic
some coloring on this thing.
or sorcery summoned ever fast. Eerie winds howl like banshees cry. Spirits linger and the demons fly. Arcane power in our veins so high.
So this guy's flying, so probably gonna get like a very above him view.
Banish all beyond our sight in unity
Of the shadows.
the blight, guardians of the endless night.
So we'll put most of this bottom parts in shadow. Apparently they put out some new footage of, some footage from the next Fable game. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but it looks atrocious. Not necessarily like the way it looks, but the freaking dialogue. It's got this guy. From what I saw, it has this guy, and it's in like a little dialogue thing, right? This is the screenshot I saw. And this guy has like a zoomer perm, right? Medieval fantasy world, dude with zoomer perm. And he's like literally calling the player character a rando. A rando! What kind of fantasy world talks like that? One written by millennial fanfiction writers, basically. I know this because I am a millennial and I used to read some fanfiction. And it mostly sucked. But I swear, all those guys got jobs as actual writers, and it's just awful. And that especially pissed me off because for the game, for creatures, I actually have like random enemies and stuff, you know, that are like not special, and they just have like simplified stat blocks and stuff. And I came up with a specific term for them, not randos, that was more thematic. We call them rabble. And that just sounds so much more in line with the type of fantasy world than saying randos. People don't even say randos these days that much. Of course, I get a little gap in the coloring here.
Darth Goricorn says, well, historically a lot of the best inventors were not allies of the people running the world, lol.
Huh?
Darth Goricorn says, so if we let them defend themselves we would be years ahead technologically.
What does that have to do with Fable saying randos?
Darth Goricorn says, henceforth the Humvees. Darth Goricorn says, I missed the Fable part.
You missed my whole spiel on millennial
Darth
cringe
Goricorn
dialogue?
says,
Dang.
missed.
Too long, didn't read. Millennials are writing Fable and it sucks.
Darth Goricorn says, I heard part of it, just not the Fable part.
Oh, now you know, I guess.
Darth Goricorn
The
says,
more you know.
the new Fable looks awful, to be honest.
That first thing they showed just looked hideous. I wonder if they bothered to rework anything. I'm not particularly interested in it either way. I'm pretty much in a zen state of not actually caring about anything large studios do.
Darth Goricorn says, you should see what they did to characters in the new Wolverine game.
I think I saw some people talking about that, but I didn't look into it.
Darth Goricorn says, some people should be banned from writing rooms and character creation.
Yep. From what I've heard, a lot of the artists and stuff do make good characters, but then the consultants come in and they just want to uglify everything.
Darth Goricorn says. They choose to listen to the Blue Sky Daycare escapees. Darth Goricorn says. Thus they have blame in the game on them.
Oh, the artists just do what they're told, basically. I don't think you have a great deal of creative freedom when you're a regular old concept artist working for a large studio. Are usually not among the final decision makers. Blizzard seems to be learning its lesson very late with Overwatch. They're actually making some decent looking characters now that other games are eating their lunch.
Darth Goricorn says. Sorry, but Mary Jane from the Spider-Man should not have looked like a 40-year-old washed-up single mom with no dreams.
Now what's really funny is when they say like, oh, this was made from a face model, and look, the girl is pretty. Are you saying she's ugly? And it's like that. It doesn't even look like her. You had a face model, but you changed the face. Crazy people.
Attack. Here's that groan, the pulse of might.
Can't wait for this era of games to be gone.
Darth Goricorn says. Well, when you look in the writing rooms and the consultants, it's obvious they are not winning beauty pageants most of the time.
There's definitely a big problem with self-insert syndrome. Which, as I was saying earlier, is a big thing in fan fiction writing.
Darth Goricorn says. IDE agree, I am being mean if it was not honesty, lol.
I'm surprised this whole thing has lasted so long. Because I started picking up on fan fiction writing back in like 2017. And by fan fiction writing, I mean writing like fan fictions in official material. It was really big in Magic the Gathering around that time. They were basically hiring Tumblr fanfiction writers to do their official stories and stuff. It was just awful. And the current state of the game is not much better. They're just doing collabs with everything now. Magic used to have its own setting and, you know, like unique lore, and now it's just like, here's the Spider-Man set, here's the Lord of the Rings set, here's the Dungeons and Dragons set, which we said we wouldn't do, even if it's our own IP. We weren't going to mix them together because they're their own separate things. But that's all out the window now. All the design philosophy that they built the brand on has just gone out the window. I wonder if Mark Rosewater is still running the ship over there, or if it's been handed off to somebody else. I feel like I need to look that up right meow. Mark Rosewater is the head designer for Magic the Gathering. Okay, so present tense. He is still leading the design over there. Wonderful. I blame him for a lot of this. The guy started a Tumblr blog back when that was new, and from there it's just history. Dude put Magic on a course for being cringe very early. Especially grinds my gears because that was my favorite game.
Darth Goricorn says, Mark Rosewater is a washed-up has-been who needs to stop trying to make people accept blueski slop. Darth Goricorn says, and learn to hire actually talented artists.
Is there actually anything good happening in the world? We've been on downer stuff for a while. Let's see. You know what? I have a bunch of stuff written down, but most of that's downer stuff too.
Pal World might be winning the lawsuit.
Oh, Pal World's almost guaranteed to win the lawsuit. Only problem is, like, part of the reason they're winning so hard is because they patched out some of the things that they were getting sued for, which is ridiculous. One of the things they patched out was, like, using pals as a glider. And it just doesn't feel as good to have, like, a regular old glider that gets a bonus from having certain pals, which is what they replaced it with. It's just not as good as, like, being able to glide with your actual pals.
And Nintendo will have taken a $40 billion hit to the wallet.
Yeah, but what's that for them? 40 billion sounds
Dark
like a very
Oracle
high
says,
estimate.
along with the patent offices denying and taking away a few of their patents.
Patents that they shouldn't have had in the first place, of course. But frankly, they deserve it. What you get for trying to make yourself a monopoly on a specific genre of game.
Darth Goricorn says, what it is them is that they will be forced to price out a lot of their fan base, hitting them long term in the wallet.
I don't know that that's actually going to happen as such. I have heard that Switch 2 sales are not doing so hot these days. Like, they were really big right off the bat, but they've really dropped off a cliff.
Darth Goricorn says, with game sales dropping each year as people lose interest in boring washed-up games that they rinse and repeat. Darth Goricorn says, it's going to keep getting worse for them.
Problem is, all the other game companies are in a similar situation for the most part. They're all putting out slop and remakes and stuff like that. It's gonna take a while for like indies to catch up. Enough that there'll be a threat. Xbox seems to be making some moves, but I don't know how well that's gonna work out for them.
Yes, but many are putting remakes people want, like Black Flag.
Nintendo fanboys are also just like very resilient to being scammed. Know what I mean?
Darth Goricorn says, the thing that will hurt Nintendo most is staying family friendly.
I don't know, people have been saying that for a long time and it hasn't really panned out yet. I mean, like, they've been saying that since the freaking Wii.
Darth Goricorn says, the refusal to grow with the gamers who on average are 37 is slowly hitting them year after year. Darth Goricorn says. And with the sudden drop in population with less babies being born, they are going to get hit hard.
I think they'll have time to adapt to that.
Darth Goricorn says. If they choose to grow up and adapt. Alright, now I think we got the dark areas nice and good. We're gonna throw some highlights on this guy now. Let's see. What's a good opacity for this? Maybe like so? Kinda hard to decide how highlighted your highlights should be when it's a freaking white animal that you're putting them on. Oop. Darth Goricorn says. Yeah, white as a shade can be difficult to highlight properly.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to use a completely different layer for the not white parts. 'Cause that just ain't gonna fly being that bright. How about reflected light? Yeah, that's probably too light too. I'll just have to have 2 highlight layers, I guess. Oh yeah. I wonder, I'm putting reflected light on it when I just said we're gonna have to put that on a different layer. Let's get a big old highlight right here. That'll be our little secret. And maybe one here. Alright, that's not bad. Alright, let's get another overlay layer for the other highlights. You know, speaking of stupid video games, I've also got that new God of War. Which is apparently not God of War, it's the God of War's wife or something. I don't know, I don't pay attention to this series. And they've got a literal gelatinous cube character that's in there for some freaking reason. Well, I know what the reason is. It's because it's written by stupid theater kids who play too much Dungeons and Dragons, and they're like, we should put a gelatinous cube in it. Wouldn't that be quirky? And we can have it talk. Wouldn't that be quirky? Because again, it's all just fan fiction for them.
Darth Goricorn says, that new God of War is a sick delusion aliens planted in our heads to keep us depressed. Darth Goricorn says, I refuse to recognize it as real.
For good reason.
Branches twitch with whispered dread, echoes of the living, the long since dead, arcane runes in trails unfold, veins of
Oh, it's just all getting so tiring.
untold.
I hope more people are getting tired of it so it doesn't last long.
Fire
Just gotta keep throwing IPs into the meat grinder and seeing what pops out to attract the modern audience.
An ageless bond the world shall keep.
AKA girl gamers who play Candy Crush.
Winding streams with laughter laced, the valley braced with ancient grace, yet cunning eyes behind the throng. A fairy king's call, the rhythm.
You know what? I think I'm gonna make it a point to say that Creatures, despite being a tabletop RPG, is not made for theater kids.
Says, Candy Crush is app, not a game. They are not the same thing.
Let me see. I don't know, man. I'm looking at the Candy Crush page and it says about this game. It claims to be a game. I do personally have a stick in my butt with things that are basically puzzles being called games, because they're really not the same thing.
Darth Goricorn says, and some people are high their entire life. Darth Goricorn says, the people calling it a game are one of those people.
You know, when I think about the distinctions between games and puzzles, I have to say that, like, the thing that defines something as a game is that, like, there's like an oppositional component to it. Like, you have an opponent that you have to react to. If the thing is static, if it's just like a static challenge, then it's not really a game. That's the puzzle. That's a puzzle. And then you have to be able to leverage the game mechanics to overcome the challenges dynamically. If it just has a single solution, then that is also a puzzle.
Darth Goricorn says, just like visual novels are not games. I love a good visual novel, but it's not a game.
This is absolutely true. Now, I'm even picky about what people call role-playing games. Most things that get called role-playing games do not have any role-playing in them, and that grinds my gears. Like, you don't have a role-playing game here. You have like a turn-based strategy game with role-playing elements. Role-playing game elements. Not even
Darth
role-playing
Goricorn
elements.
says, as a DM I agree completely.
JRPGs are really bad about that shit. Alright, let's see. Time for the Dark Shadows.
Adam SH8VF says, it's pretty much a term that outlived its origins.
Adam! Fancy seeing you here. Yeah, it has definitely escaped the containment of its original meaning. Which is kind of crazy because it's quite literally baked into the term role-playing game. Like, how do you have a role-playing game and be confused about whether it needs to have, like, role-playing in it? Crazy. I got too many freaking layers on this drawing. I keep picking the wrong one and trying to soften up the edges on something, and it's like, oh, that's on a different layer. That's why it's not doing anything. Like that right there. That's a different layer right there. You know, I'm getting way behind on my YouTube stuff right now. I usually set aside like a specific day of the week to work on YouTube videos for like shorts and stuff for creatures. But this week I was picking up my car from the mechanic on that day. So I don't have anything ready to post next week. And I'm still waiting on my assistant to finish the line art for some of the pictures I was going to use for it too. So I guess either way, it wasn't going to get made on time. Maybe we can use this one though. I might have enough artwork of Snowpuff to make a video for him. I haven't done a creature metamorphosis in quite a while. Mostly just been doing the base forms. I also really need to get on more lore videos and game rule videos, because that's another thing I'm trying to do. Make videos that teach game mechanics. But alas, work says, hey, overtime, buddy. And then the things simply do not get done. Might have to burn some time off in the near future so I can actually sit down and do some work on the freaking game. Take time off work to do more work. At least it's work for myself. You know what, we should probably put some highlights on his freaking face. He's looking a little flat. Let's see. Maybe like so. You know, I heard a while back that when they were developing Pokemon X and Y, they were actually working on a feature that would have let you like make your own gym, your own Pokemon gym, that other players could come in and challenge. But it didn't make the cut. I don't know why. That would have been an awesome feature to have. I guess that's Pokemon for you. They don't really like to make good features. Anytime they do make a good feature, they like cut it for the next generation. Let's add a little bit of extra fluff to this guy.
Adam SH8VF says, wasn't that just the secret bases in Auras?
I mean, it'd be kind of like secret bases. Which kind of makes it even worse, just because like you basically already have the mechanic from a previous game. It's just kind of an adaptation of it. It always kind of bugged me that Pokemon games are kind of made so you can just keep playing them after they're quote-unquote done, after you beat them. But there's often not a whole lot that you can do besides collect more Pokemon. Being able to kind of make like your own place in the world would have given it a bit more character, I think. Gotta scratch that itch. Maybe that's just my RPG brain talking. I want strongholds. I don't know if that is such a good idea to have that tangent right there. That's kind of... Let's break it up a tad. There we go. That's better. Alright, you know what? I think it's time we put some clouds and stuff on this boy. Perhaps a sun. And then we can throw some shadows on there. kind of lighten it up as it goes away from the sun, and we'll give it a little more of a we want to put this behind the sun. A little bit of a halo around there. And now I think we'll just slap some highlights, or some rim lighting rather, on this boy, and we will call it mission accomplished. Whoop, that's too much. I want to tone down some of the color on the line art too before I wrap this up. You know what? I should probably have this whole guy in a folder, so the rim lighting is not just on the line art. Alright, now let's see what we can do with that line art. Might be best to use two different colors. We'll take this color. Actually, we'll take the other color. The original color. We'll use that on the darker parts so it stands out better. Yeah, we'll do most of the bottom shadowed part in the darker color anyways. Leave the lighter color for the top areas that are actually in the light. Zooming out makes some of these things not look so great. This right here ain't doing it for me. That's not exactly doing it for me either. Maybe I was more correct the first time. Alright, you know what? I think this is a good place to stop it. Actually, I'm looking at it on the other screen. I have to make some slight adjustments. The contrast on my main screen isn't very high. I'm seeing on the OBS screen the highlights show up a lot better. So we're taking that down just a tad. Alright. Let's save this and then we'll call it a night.
Darth Goricorn says, "That sounds like quitter talk lol."
It sounds like it's 11 p.m. kind of talk to me. Anyways, I'll probably look at this later and be like, oh, I need to fix something else. It always happens. But nothing's perfect, and this was just supposed to be a quick one anyways.
Darth Goricorn says, sleep is for the weak.
That's why I go to bed at like 4 a.m. But anyways, we'll call it here. Well, thanks for hanging out, guys. I hope we'll see you all next week, and we'll be doing more of this kind of thing. Hopefully we'll have the line art back from my assistant for the stuff I was doing before. Usually he's pretty good about that, so I suspect he will be done with them by then. At least one. So yeah. I'll see you guys later. Bye!